Welcome everyone. Welcome to our HARTING web seminar. In this seminar, we will talk about a very hot topic, all for internet. And this is especially important for today's industrial environment. Today, we have a very experienced presenter, Gary Lim. Gary, he is our product application manager. He's stationed in Singapore. He has rich experience in sales and marketing in the field of industrial connectivity and electronic solution. He has more than 15 years of just experience. He is an expert in this field. Let's welcome Gary.
Hello, good morning to everyone. On behalf of the company, welcome to today's webinar. I'm Gary. Yeah. So for today's topic, we'll be covering all for Ethernet from HARTING. Yeah, and my name is Gary. Yeah. This is my contact detail, just in case if after the today event, if you have any question or would like to connect, please feel free to follow this information provided. Yeah. And in order to save bandwidth, to make sure that the event runs smoothly and you can actually have a very nice audio and visual experience, I will turn off my camera. Yeah, because I'm worried if you look at me for too long and then you're too engrossed in studying me. Yeah. So I will just switch off the camera and then go into the topic in detail. Okay. Okay, so after looking at my picture, I think, and also the real person, I'm really the real case. Yeah. So now I will go into today's topic. Yeah, for today's agenda. Okay, we'll be first starting on the mega trend of single pair Ethernet. In this session, we will actually share with you how we can actually future-proof your industrial Ethernet communication. Yeah. Right after. We will also talk about new interfaces where now is a good time to consider as a so-called upgrade from the traditional RJ45 in order to actually in the direction of miniaturization where space safe can equals to say increase of performance and also functionality on your existing application. Okay, last but not least, we will actually share with you establish Ethernet solution that HARTING has to offer to complement to your Ethernet application. So to start the today topic in a more lighter note, okay, before we move into the technical detail, when we were young, especially for myself, okay, I have this experience that my parent actually made me a very simple toy with just a simple string and two tin can, and this became my very first phone that I start to do communication, and in certain way, later that I know this is the half duplex of I would say transferring of data. Yeah, and for children wise, we always wanted more. So with this format, okay, we start to get creative, and yeah, we have 14 can and 2 string, and now it become much more intensive and much more fun. Yeah, and that's where it also fall very nicely to today's topic. Okay, 35 years later, today we are looking at let's say a single pair Ethernet. Yeah, I'm 41 years old, so that was the toy that I was playing with. Let's say at the age of let's say 5, 6. Yeah. So for today's very first topic, single pair Ethernet, known as SPE or T1. Okay, one pair is enough. One pair is enough. Yeah. In this case, for SPE, it allows a gigabit transmission from 10 megabits per second up to 10 gigabits per second. And with today's requirement that we want to send power over data line as a power source to our field instrument, yeah, field equipment, this is possible. Yeah. And because we are dealing with very high speed of transfer of information and data, it is important that EMC do not have an ill effect on our application. And that's where SPE can provide 360 degree of fully shielded protection to ensure your data are effectively transferred. Most of us are also familiar that usually for Ethernet, we can go up to, let's say, 100 meter. And in this case, SPE allow transmission of up to 1000 meter, depending on the speed of transmission, which I'll share later. And because it's just utilizing on a single pair of copper cable, there is a significant weight reduction, yeah, as compared to other Ethernet cabling technology. And with all this being said, this allows us to have an easier implementation into the direction of Industry 4.0, as well as in the view of industrial Ethernet technology. Okay, so SPE just right for Industrial 4.0 and IoT. Why is this so? So let's look a little bit into the existing industrial landscape. So what we have here in this pre-made, okay, is the various level of communication that we try to establish. First and foremost, we have the ERP, also known as the enterprise level of resource planning system, okay, which work hand in hand with the manufacturing execution system. And in this level, we are talking about standard Ethernet protocol, Ethernet function, or sometimes also known as the enterprise level of IT solution. And next, we are going further down, closer to the so-called plant and the production floor. Okay, we have the SCADA as well as the PLC level of communication. Yeah, and at this level, it is defined as the industrial Ethernet because of the environment and the condition that Ethernet has to actually deploy on. Okay, and then now we come to a borderline. Okay, at this border, it segregate the Ethernet communication to the field level, where at current, most of the field level devices are communicating based on the various bus system. Yeah. For example, Profibus or Modbus in that aspect. And what is the so-called roadmap ahead? Okay, with the concept of Industrial 4.0 and IoT, okay, it is now so-called with a very clear direction that we want to establish Internet all the way from the top, all the way to the field level devices, because we would want to actually gather all this field level device information, push them out all into the cloud, so that there's a possibility for data analytic, for predictive maintenance, and also for preventive monitoring of the device health. And further from there, only then we can further implement, let's say, AI, and also fine tune on the overall production landscape. And with that in mind, at the field level device, I would say the answer to enable the connectivity of Ethernet to field device, single pair Ethernet is one good solution. So here we are. I would like to share with you the different technology and Ethernet comparison. So first and foremost, yeah, we have the fast Ethernet based on, let's say, 4 copper cable communicating at 100 megabits per second and limited to 100 meter of transmission. Usually, I have come customers who are always trying to push the boundary of all these transmission length. Sometimes they come to me happily, hey, I'm able to establish 110 meter, 120 meter. Yeah, but all in all, that is really the maximum that I would say if you want to go for effective transmission. Okay, 100 megabits bits per second was so nice up to a certain level that we have a even more bigger hunger. They want to go faster. Yeah, and that's where gigabit Ethernet is being introduced. And in this case, now we can actually transmit so-called up to 10 gigabits per second. But if you look at the cable count, right now we actually double of what we have for fast Ethernet. Now we have 8 core of copper wire, and the distance is still limited to 100 meter. And with the new technology, single pair Ethernet, okay, with just 2 copper cable, we can transmit ranging from 10 megabits per second all the way up to 10 gigabits, but at different transmission length, ranging from, let's say, 15 meter up to 1,000 meter. At this point, some of you might have some concern. Hey, Gary, is there any typo mistake? Why is it that 1 gigabit you can transmit 40 meter, but 100 meg, 15 meter, 10 gigabit, 15 meter. No, I can assure you there's no typo mistake. The reason will be explained in the following slide. Okay, because SPE is governed by a so-called a standard body, and in this case with the IEEE 802.3, this clearly stipulate on the various transmission length and also the limitation that actually it can work within. So in this case, let's look at the 10 megabits per second. Okay, it is possible that we can transmit up to 1,000 meter based on STP cable. STP cable stands for shielded twisted pair copper cable. Yeah, and for the next so-called faster speed is 100 megabits per second. We are looking at 15 meter based on unshielded twisted pair. Yeah, and at 1 gigabit, there is a so-called listed of both shielded twisted pair and unshielded twisted pair at 50 meter and 40 meter. And at 10 gigabits, we can only establish based on shielded twisted pair at 15 meter. So these are the various guidelines that is being highlighted by the IEEE. So I would say the work does not stop here, because we have many companies which are, I would say, trying to establish this SPE in a better landscape. And this is what, as an outlook that we foresee in the future to come, where you can see that for the 100 megabits per second, yeah, in times to come, we could achieve highly possible that we achieve up to, let's say, 500 meter. Likewise, for other transmission speed, yeah, there is a so-called good increment of the distance possible. Just one good news is that for the 10 megabits per second, okay, the company Texas Instruments has just recently tested that they can effectively transmit data of up to 1.5 kilometer. Yeah, which is a good news for many industry player. Okay. Next, with so much being said for SPE, many customer actually highlight to me, oh, this is such a nice topic, and you talk about future proof. Yeah, does it mean that I can easily buy a certain product, put as a coupler or together with my existing RJ45, and boom, I have SPE? Sad to say, to disappoint you, no, it's not possible, because SPE is a new technology. You need various new components in order to have it to work correctly. So in this case, we would need a new chipset, okay, for the physical communication as well as the switching chip. And also, now we are transmitting power over just a single pair of cable. We as well need the power over data line controller. Yeah, newly designed for this technology. Next, on the topic of new magnetic, as you can see in the picture, we have the SPE, which require much lesser component transformer as compared to the MPE, also known as the multiple pair Ethernet, where we streamline the chip and also with a lesser scale of a component required. Next, we also need a new series of connector for these purposes. Yeah, so in this case, IEC 63171-6 is actually a standard for industrial SPE connector, also known as T1. We here from HARTING, we have the selection, say, for the IP20 all the way to the IP65 as well as IP67 solution. Yeah, and we are in the so-called progress of developing of all these different functions. Okay, last but not least is on the cable. Yeah, the usual Ethernet cable can no longer be implemented, because you can see that fast Ethernet for copper core, as well as we also have some application that require hybrid solution. So in this case, we have the single pair Ethernet cable as well as single pair Ethernet hybrid solution. So for here, just to touch a little bit more in depth on the connector that HARTING has to offer. In this case, for our IP20 version of connector that we launched last year, HARTING is the so-called first and only company that have industrial IP20 connector available in the market since early 2020. Yeah, before anyone else. Yeah, and that was a very proud statement that I can make. And beside that, our IP20 has a very high performance level of function that it can so-called provide 1,000 meeting cycle guaranteed in the so-called connector. And because we are handling different speed of transmission of Ethernet. We also cater for the EMC in the very high degree that you provide 360-degree shielding on the signal to be transferred. And last but not least, we have a very high tolerance against shock and vibration, where it is designed with accordance to the IEC 61373, which comply to the railway and transportation standard. Okay, so we are not only stopping there with the just IP20 SPE connector. So you can see that right after 2020, we are riding on our so-called experience and to further develop the IP65 and 67 to address more industrial application requirement. And this is in the form of the M12 and M8 circular connectivity. Okay, not to forget, these are on the cable side. We will also be developing a solution that is well suited in the device side, which is onboard the PCB. And in times to come, we are also looking at improving the various termination of the connector so that the customer can actually complete the termination right at the fuse site, yeah, and also improve the various so-called mating phase that we have 90-degree and 125-degree mating jack available. And on the device side, we also want to increase the density of the port count that we can provide based on, let's say, on the PCB connectivity. Okay. And with this wonderful technology, it's key that there will be many like-minded individual and company that will actually believe in this and want to embark on the journey on SPE. And we truly believe with this wonderful technology, when people come together and we start a gang, okay, maybe not nice to say gang, but rather an association, we can have a better exchange of idea, better introduce the standard to help for any new customer or new industry partner to put them faster on speed to ride on this SPE wave. Yeah, and in this case, not only we help as a so-called industry, but also it become a very nice and healthy ecosystem that we are building for the long run in the market. Okay, so SPE was founded about 1 year ago. Okay, and HARTING was one of the key founding member. And in the short span of 1 year plus, we have a total of 45 partners. And you can see we have many big and well-established company, as well as the different industrial association join our association, join this association, sorry, yeah, to actually better plan for future and push SPE to a higher frontier. Okay, so as I mentioned, the ecosystem, to give you a better idea, okay, for the start with this new and nice concept, very important is that we want to harmonize on a global standard that everyone could follow, so that we do not want to have funny different application that at the end we have a difficulty in terms of the connectivity between various company and application. And that's where the standard is born. Okay, and only right after the standard is born, the component manufacturer can start to follow all these guidelines and produce all these required components, where the device manufacturer and the device company can start to put all these components into their application. And lastly, with all these completed SPE devices, this can be slowly introduced into various application and market to better the future. Okay, so here, because we have some customer sharing with me, SPE is such a nice topic, but it's new. I don't really want to be the guinea pig. Maybe I should approach wait and see, or wait for maybe even sometimes my competitor have done it and then they are doing well, then I do it. Yeah. Personally, I have this thinking. Yeah, if this is not a good product, there will not be so many wonderful company coming together and pitting their know-how and also growing from strength to strength in terms of the development. You can see that in terms of the component level, yeah, we have a lot of partner, and we see a growing day-by-day device solution provider join this association to actually learn and contribute to the overall success. Yeah. So having touched so much for SPE, I hope so far you have a nice idea on this topic. Yeah. And next, with respect to the agenda, we'll be moving into the new interfaces, IX Industrial. Yeah. Having touched so much on SPE, there will be bound to be certain application that we are still limited based on technology now on, let's say, RJ45. But RJ45, right now, we have a good chance to replace them because with HARTING IX Industrial, we can actually, as a good replacement for all these big RJ45 connectivity, and we do not, or rather we have to improve the robustness and overall reliability of the connectivity for all this RJ45 technology, okay? But based on the new connector format. So in this slide, it will give you a very clear understanding that for IX Industrial, it aims to provide 70% of reduction in terms of PCB space and connector volume compared to the traditional RJ45 jack. So right at the bottom, you see that for a PCB space required for 5 units of RJ45, now we can implement with up to 9 IX Industrial connectivity. Yeah. Okay. And in this year, we launched two new products, which is the IX Industrial Push-Pull, okay, good for IP65 and 67, as well as the Push-Pull IP20. Yeah, so in this case, you can see that for the Push-Pull, we have this yellow color ring at the connector end. It allows a locking, yeah, because we push to establish connection and then we pull to withdraw. So this yellow lock allow us to prevent any unintentional and accidental removal of the plug. Okay, and here to share with you some of the application example from Beckhoff, from BNR, as well as at the far right, you can see that on a clear differentiation on a vision camera, where on the top based on RJ45 and right beside based on IX, and we have much more space saving, and this equal to further development of additional feature on the product. And let's zoom in a little bit more on the Beckhoff solution. Okay, for this Beckhoff PCI Ethernet EtherCAT card, okay, in the past it can so-called only house 4 RJ45 connectivity, but with the upgrade to IX Industrial now, okay, we can establish up to 8 Ethernet communication, which is double on the so-called same form factor of the PCB. Okay, this equal to cost saving for the customer. And next, we are moving into established Ethernet solution. Okay, we will touch on the circular connectivity, the M12 and M8 topic, and also on the push-pull that we have to share at the later part of this session. So for circular connectivity, there's many different coding, but in the direction of Ethernet communication, we have the M12-8 and M12X coded. Yeah, M12D and the X coded. M12D coded is good for Ethernet up to 100 megabits per second communication, and then for the X coding is good for up to 10 gigabits transmission. Okay, so beyond the M12, today's topic is also on the direction of miniaturization of the devices, so that we can save more space, okay, and well fit into so-called many application or jam-packed with more feature. So with the M8, as per current landscape, we have the decoding solution, okay, and as compared to M12, it offers a good 30% space saving, yeah, and it is, despite being small, it is well positioned and tested in the direction of shock and vibration proof, good for railway and transportation industry. Okay, and one new product that's coming from HARTING is that the M12 magnetic. Just to share with you on the various connectivity, especially in the topic of Ethernet, we have so-called the requirement of magnetic or transformer, yeah, which offer the galvanic isolation between the connected devices. So in this case, the transformer are usually being implemented on the PCB, okay, and this take up a lot of PCB space, and it also increase the amount of logistic as well as component required. So with that in mind, now for HARTING, we actually streamline the transformer into the connector itself. Yeah, and that's where it helps to actually provide much more space saving, and beyond that, is cater for, let's say, a future-proof application with PoE being designed onto such M12 magnetic option. Okay, and here is one example that we have deployed the M12 magnetic, as you see on the transportation application, where it's used on the railway switch, yeah, with the M12 magnetics. Okay. And next, moving on to the M12 push-pull and the standard comparison. So the M12 standard is actually a circular connector that requires the traditional way of connection, that is screwing, that you keep screw and screw and screw to establish the connectivity. Yeah, usually you would take a good maybe 8 to 9 turn. Okay, and M12 push-pull is a revolutionary solution that we can establish a connection with just a push effort, okay, and disconnect with a pull effort. And once you complete the pushing in action, and if you hear a click sound, okay, from HARTING, this is our sound of guarantee to you that the connection is 100% guaranteed in a very well connected way. Okay, and next I will share with you some screenshot of the video. Sorry that I couldn't show you the video because I'm afraid that will be too laggy. Okay, but let me just flow through the video with you. Okay, first and foremost, we have this railway switch. Okay, and we aim to establish a 12 standard, so-called 12 unit of M12 standard connectivity on this Ethernet switch, and we will actually take out the time taken. Yeah. So on the second picture, okay, after the clock is started, our colleague actually start his screwing. Yeah, screwing of the switches. Yeah. So you can see that after he screw tight, finger tight on the switch itself. Okay, on the third picture here, he need so-called a special tool. We work like a spanner, okay, a tightening tool to further tighten the M12 connector onto the switch. Yeah, and all in all, for 12 number of connectivity, it take about under 4 minutes. Yeah, and that is a good time for me to complete 2 cheeseburger. Yeah. Okay, so right now let's look at the M12 push-pull. So for the M12 push-pull, it's super straightforward. We start the clock running, okay, with the same challenge, okay. All we need to do is to pick up the M12 push-pull jack, push it in, okay. Listen to the sound of music, which is the click sound, okay. Now it's guaranteed just like how you would actually insert your safety belt. Yeah, when you hear the click sound, you are safely so-called in your car seat. Likewise, it actually give you a safety confirmation that your connectivity is established. And look at the time that we spend, less than 1 minute. Yeah, so with the time saved, I can have more cheeseburger. Yeah, but of course, that was just a lighter note. The key point is that this gives us a lot of so-called time saving, and also it gives our operator an easier approach to establish all this connectivity. Yeah. Okay, and much lesser tools, or rather no additional tools required. And on the various application possible, here we have, let's say, the sensor actuator boxes, okay, and then let's say we have the vision machine that utilize on this circular connector, industrial Ethernet switches, edge computing, as well as, let's say, in the railway transportation, that we usually use such M12 connectivity on the passenger information system. Okay, and next is a very nice project that we recently established, which is the EV bus. Yeah, where we get to establish the M12 connectivity on the EV bus, and their future plan to further enhance this EV bus to driverless setup. And with the good experience, they are further designing based on M12 connectivity. Okay. Next, moving on to the traditional RJ45, but now on the industrial offering. Okay, here is a series of products that we have which look very familiar to, I would say, all of us. Yeah, it's based on the RJ45 connector, but we further improve with additional feature to cater for the industrial need. Okay, to say that we have better strength relief, we have a better metallic housing for increased EMC feature. We also have a coupler that established for, let's say, extension of cable. Not just on the cable side, we also have the various industrial onboard PCB RJ45, which come with high density or come with onboard LED as well as filter transformer inbuilt. Okay, and I wanted to take this chance to introduce one of our star product, one of our best seller. Ta-da! Okay, our variable boot RJ45. Yeah, so now it look really different from the traditional one that we see, which is quite, like me, very honest and straight and not bendy. Yeah, so for the variable boot RJ45, I personally give it a name. Okay, I call it bend it like David Beckham. Yeah, in my days when the Manchester United was a wonderful team for me. Okay, David Beckham and Roberto Carlos is the one that do banana kick like nobody business. So I'm actually quite thrilled to realize that our variable boat can do the same. Yeah, just like on the street, if you see something nice or super not nice, okay, you actually we call it a head turning stunner. Yeah, so I believe for variable boat is in a good way. Yeah, so you can see in this three picture, we are now able to twist and turn the RJ45 connector in any way we like and still maintain the high speed of transmission, okay, with no so-called worry on the strength relief and also the quality of the connection. Yeah, so this is one of our top seller. And if you are still being troubled by connector direction, please, okay, think of this variable boot, and yeah, David Beckham will come to you. Okay, next on the pre-link system, okay, it's a flexible cable link system where we establish with an Ethernet cable onto our pre-link cube, okay, so that we now have a flexibility to select the different plug type that we want to use with. Yeah, you only need to treat the cable once, okay, and then you can have so-called the luxury to work with the different system. So here is to share with you the different jack and plug that we can work on. Okay, so on the jack is the I would say the typical RJ45 industrial jack. Okay, and the plug are in the direction to, let's say, from IP20 to enhance IP65, 67. Let's say a push-pull solution, and also on the circular connectivity, because we have some customer where, let's say, they're establishing their FAT, factory acceptance test. Okay, they do not have the few device to test on, so they use, let's say, the usual RJ45 jack to do the testing. Okay, and then when deliver on site, when now you are connecting to the rail deal, which is, let's say, the circular connectivity, instead of cutting the cable and reconnect it with a circular connector, okay, which is time consuming, they can have a faster speed to realization on site, where they just need to easily remove this pre-link and slot it into this M12 circular connectivity. Okay. Beyond all the connector that we talk of, for HARTING, we are a hardcore lover to offer a turnkey cabling solution. So in this slide is to share with you the various patch cord and the various industrial heavy duty cable assembly that we have to offer. And here on the topic of exotic requests, we really love to receive inquiry that certain customers want us to fulfill some very extraordinary or customized cabling option. Yeah, just like what you see in the bottom so-called left, there's this big rubber connector that we offer a turnkey solution for a food and beverage customer, where we have power, signal, data, all in a single housing for the customer. Yeah. And not just all this, pretty straightforward connectivity. Okay, we also customize into different industry. Yeah, in this case, it's a so-called platform control system for the railway that we provide the patch card for the customer, where they can just establish a plug and play when they deliver their system on site. Yeah. Further to just on the platform, going into the, let's say, bigger machinery. So in this case, we have a customized jumper cable for the train-to-train or a cut-to-cut Wi-Fi solution, okay, that we offer a very robust turnkey solution for the customer, where now between the car, the Wi-Fi connectivity can be actually shared across and monitor. Yeah, we do it in a very professional way. We consult the customer, listen to the voice of the customer, compute various versions of the drawing, okay, and cable assembly, so-called sample to test it out. Yeah, okay. So if you have any such requests, please come to us. Yeah, we will take them very seriously and see what we can come together with you to fulfill. Okay. Beyond that, now we are looking around. We see, you know, machine, robot, so-called self-service devices, so on and so forth. And that's where this comes to a point that we are talking about service interfaces, because we do not want people to have internet access to our application, because sometimes they could, accidentally disrupt the overall system application and to limit the access. And that's where service interfaces, also known as HARPort in HARTING so-called product series, help to provide this solution. Yeah, we are talking about service interface at the device entrance level, okay, ranging from USB, HDMI, audio jack, RJ45. Yeah, not only we provide the connectivity, we also offer the various, protection. Yeah, the IP-rated protection from so-called dust cover, water splashing cover, or even some that come with security inbuilt to prevent vandalism or unauthorized access. Yeah. Okay, next, having talked on all these various connector, we are moving into the big heavy duty but dumb, you know, big connector. Okay, I think my colleague from the Han will be angry, but against that, okay, no one, I would say, this connector is not going to be dumb forever. And now, with the push for Industrial 4.0, we are actually blessing this Han modular connectivity with additional intelligence. Okay, where in the past it's just for a general transmission of power, signal, and data. Now we imbue with surge protection, with temperature monitoring sensor, with voltage and current signal conditioner, as well as identification and monitoring possibility onto all these big industrial heavy duty connector. Yeah, so that we make them smart. And I will call that now the Han modular is smartest ever. Yeah, and I was very engineered and happy to see that now the customer has new option. Yeah, to available into their design. And in the topic of today, falling back onto Ethernet, okay, for such heavy-duty connectivity, we have the Han gigabit module, good for, let's say, Cat 7A. As you can see, it consists of, let's say, 8 cable termination, okay? And as well, in the Han gigabit, we have the decoded circular and the X-coded circular option, M12, yeah, for, let's say, the fast Ethernet and gigabit transmission, okay? And the key point I want to share with you between these two types of connector is on the topic of space saving. Yeah. So if you were to establish, say, a total of 6 gigabit transmission, okay, if you utilize on the Han gigabit, you can actually, you will require, let's say, 6 module. But if you utilize on the M12 based on the X coding circular connector, okay, you actually have a good space saving of up to 50%. And from that angle, okay, the other 6 so-called module save, you can utilize it based on, let's say, power or other signal or data to be used. Or even you can have a more cost-saving feature that you actually downsize the housing. And this make up for very good design landscape. Okay, moving next, we have also from HARTING Ethernet switches, which most customer didn't get to know, or rather they were quite shocked. Yeah, but in that aspect, for HARTING, we are also providing our so-called customer with unmanaged switcher solution. Okay, we have it in, let's say, two category. One is, let's say, for the automation shop floor design. The other landscape is the heavy duty, the hardcore type. So for the general usage, the 2000 and 3000 series, okay, we have it in the flat housing as well as the slim housing form factor. They are good for full gigabit Ethernet, okay, and they support, say, a jumbo frame application, which is very good in the direction that in case you're transmitting, let's say, IP camera signal or even some machine vision application, okay, you do not worry that the switch is unable to support because of the feature of the jumbo frame. And beyond that, though it's a so-called basic a series of switches, it comes with the power over Ethernet transmission. That now we are able that from the switch itself push the power required all the way to your connected field devices, where you do not need to actually have a so-called on-site field power supply to your connected devices. Yeah, where all can be established within the very same Ethernet cable connecting to your field device. And on top of that, on our slim housing series, the 3000 series, we also have an inbuilt variant that comes with a DC to DC converter. Yeah, that you want to further condition the power supply from, let's say, 24 DC to 24 DC or 24 to, let's say, 55 volt all the way to your field device application. Okay. Next, still on Ethernet switches, a further improvement on our 2000 series, where we actually deploy our goodness from IX Industrial onto our flat housing switches. Okay, where now we can increase the number of connected port on the very same form factor against the traditional RJ45. Just like what you see here. Okay. We established a 8-port IX, where in the past, in this form factor, we can only establish RJ45. And this means that it has a better cost signature as well as a higher port density count for our customer to connect to your various Ethernet devices. Okay, coming to the last slide for today. Okay, these are our hardcore, heavy-duty, ever-reliable field deployed switches. Okay, the 4000 and 7000 series. Okay, these are in unmanaged format. We usually have them in, let's say, the circular connectivity M12 connection type, good for IP65, 67. Okay, we also establish them with, let's say, the HAN connectivity. Yeah, okay, and we also provide as a further upgrade that some of these switches come with the magnetics, the M12 magnetics, that the customer can have a so-called further peace of mind that the galvanic isolation is being taken care of with these switches. Okay, all in all, that is all for today for our presentation. I hope I have been very informative and helpful to give you a better insight on what HARTING has to offer in the direction of all for Ethernet for your application. Yeah. So now we'll move into the next section, where is the Q&A in case you have some question that you would like to clarify. Yeah. So feel free to flow us with your question, and I will try my very best to give them advices. Yeah. Okay. So I think it's good to showcase my face again. Yeah. So it's not an AI that has been talking to you, it's me. And I hope the last 45 minutes was nice and pleasant for all of you. Okay, let me see. Is there any question here? Okay. Sorry, there's some problem. I have to disconnect the camera for a while. Yeah, I'll come back. Yeah. Okay. Hello, Jackie. So far, is there any question from the ground?
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I hear you.
Yep. Thanks for the good presentation and wonderful time from Gary. If anyone have any question, you are welcome to type into this question function in GoToWebinar. And Gary, we have several questions already.
Okay.
The first question is, can you explain more about SPE hybrid?
SPE hybrid.
Yep.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. Maybe let me just fall back to my slide, okay, to share with you the SPE hybrid. So for SPE, as we all know, it's actually solution based on single pair copper cable. Yeah, but with some so-called requirement that's required from customer, okay, on their connected devices, okay, they still want to, let's say, have a separate power being transmitted all the way to the field device. Yeah, they still want to keep it separated. Yeah, and that's where on you can see here. Let's say we have an example on the T1 M8 hybrid. Maybe it's better that you look at the device session, okay, where we have a dedicated so-called 2-pin, okay, which is designed for the Ethernet communication, okay, and right on top we have an additional so-called power supply, so-called copper pin, okay, for the purpose of hybrid function. Yeah. So all in all, this is in a layman term that we want to transmit power and data within the same cable and connector. Yeah, that connect onto, let's say, the field device and also to the field application. Yeah. So this is just a very straightforward so-called answer on, let's say, single pair Ethernet hybrid function.
Cool. And thanks for the answer from Gary. And here is the second question. Does the M12 push-pull field termination ready, Gary?
Yeah. Field M12 push-pull field termination ready. Yes, yeah, the M12, I would say the push-pull is already available from our portfolio. Yeah, and in times to come, there is also a new standard coming out from IEC that also governs this so-called M12 push-pull requirement. And HARTING is also working in that direction to fulfill this standard. Yeah. So the M12 push-pull that I showcased just now on the screenshot of the video, it is available now in our so-called M12 family. Yeah. And just to share a little bit extra, beside M12 push-pull for Ethernet that I introduced for the decode and X-coded, we also have M12 for other coding, let's say for power or signal transmission. For example, the A code, B code, L code, the P code, so on and so forth. Yeah, so the push-pull, we have it in all those setup. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Another question, Gary.
Yes.
With the IS connector, is there any cable that allow IS to RJ45 and IS to M12?
Yes, yeah. One cool thing is about for the IX connectivity. Okay, it's still based on, let's say, the typical RJ45 setup in terms of the cable selection, where it designed for up to 8 copper cable. So we do have some customer where, let's say, on their particular device, they want to establish based on IX, but on the few connected device is based on, let's say, a circular connector, or even at times still a RJ45. Yeah. So to say that it's possible, it's just that we have to be sure that your mating connector is based on the same, let's say, gigabit or fast Ethernet kind of topology, and the mating pin that we use across the cable from the IX to the mating side is of correct pin assignment. Yeah, so that is possible, and with our HARTING cabling solution division, we have lots of experience to cater for such customized cable for the customer. And even in our product portfolio, we have the general off-the-shelf ordering for IX to say RJ45 ready product available. Yeah.
Okay. Gary,
Yes.
here is a very interesting question. Some of our audience, they would like to know, what are the advantages of single-pair Ethernet in automation and robotics?
In automation and robotic. Oh, okay,
Yep.
sure. Okay, there's a few key area where, let's say, when we establish a single pair Ethernet in, let's say, robotic or industrial automation direction, is that because right now we are utilizing with just a single pair cable. Okay, we are talking about much more flexibility, because in robotic there's lots of movement within the system, where I get to know in certain case for some application they need to cater for a very specialized cable. Yeah, and let's say you are still working based on Ethernet, let's say fast Ethernet, there's still 4 copper core inside, or gigabit, which is even more complex, that you have 8 individual cable within the same cable. Yeah, with a lot of twisting and turning, the replacement rate could be much more faster. But with single pair Ethernet, with just one pair of cable, okay, this result in a so-called longer service life, as well as cost saving for the customer. And this will also help in the direction of for future maintenance planning, and also better integration to other connected system. Yeah. So that is one key area. And the other point, which is very nice, is that for single pair Ethernet, I mentioned about the weight reduction, because you can imagine with just 2 copper wire, okay, against, let's say, 4 or 8 copper wire, okay, the amount of weight loss means this have a lesser so-called weight liability onto the system itself. Yeah. So these are some of, I would say, very nice key advantage that the customer, especially in the robotic area, can consider. Yeah.
Okay. Here we have a question from Australia. And I believe this question is about railway application. The question is, does HARTING has self-ejecting connector version of the HART modular or similar thing that can be used between vehicles?
Self-ejecting.
Yeah.
Sorry. Self-ejecting connector for railway. Sorry, because I think I don't know whether did I get the question correctly. Yeah. So maybe for this topic, I have to be very honest. I do not have a very clear understanding, so I do not want to make I mean some assumption in this case. If let's say it's possible, I hope to actually get in touch with the particular customer or participant today to further understand what is mean by self-ejecting, so that I can better come up with a possible recommendation, or even to discuss with the factory if we have such a solution available. Yeah, because I scared the self-ejecting or whichever have a misconcept in this what the customer is referring to. I'm so sorry on that question from my side. Yeah. But definitely, I will come one-to-one to the customer to further establish this. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Gary. Here is, I think most of our audience would like to know about this question is, will the PowerPoint slide be available after the webinar? And actually, after this webinar, we will offer the on-demand. We will offer the on-demand version in our website. So you are welcome to take a look.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess you answered the question.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes, we
Yep.
will. We
And
will try to make available. Yeah.
yes. And here is another question about the single pair internet also. Someone asked, can single pair Ethernet be transmitted over existing network cable?
In this case, I'm so sorry to say it's not possible. Yeah, because for single pair Ethernet, the composite is different because we, as mentioned, let me run the slide a bit on the ecosystem. Sorry, just a moment. Okay, I think this is a very good question. So you can see from here, the single pair Ethernet has a standard that is coming out from, let's say, the ISO and IEC as well as the TIA body that specifically mention about in order to establish SPE, what are the cabling standard required. So if you talk about existing Ethernet cable, which is, let's say, based on the 4-core for fast Ethernet as well as the 8-core for gigabit, we are unable to do it. I would say the standard does not allow us to do it now. Yeah, but of course, that is based on the standard level. But if you talk about in terms of predictability, yeah, so of course, if the cable size, the AWG is correct, there is no problem in actually connecting to the connector. But yet again, you can see that now we have a cable management problem. Yeah, what do we do with the rest of the not connected copper core? Do we leave them dangling or how is it? Yeah, so all in all, I would say that from SPE with respect that we follow the guideline and standard, yeah, we cannot to follow that we cannot utilize this SPE on the existing cable. Yeah, but on a technical possibility, yeah, I would say that it's possible. Yeah, and who knows, maybe in times to come, okay, the standard might grow in a certain direction that there could be a certain adapter or whichever that could make this possible. Yeah. So official answer, no. Yeah. Technical, yes, could be. Yeah, but maybe I would say still we follow closely to the recommend standard way of doing things. Yeah. I hope I didn't confuse the customer. Yeah.
Thank you for the answer, Gary.
Yeah,
And we have many smart questions. And I hope everyone enjoyed the session today. And if you have more questions about our product and solution, you are welcome to contact our